Hello and welcome to 3ENL Plus Listening MOOC, Improve Your Listening Skills Through Practice. The listening course contains the course sequences, diverse resources, relevant activities to the major points related to the listening skills, listening placement test sequences, formative evaluation right from the outset of the sequences, and summative evaluation at the end of the listening course. Before we get into any further details, I'm going to introduce you to your instructors. Professor Ghania Wahmish, the teacher trainer, course designer, and MOOC designer of all sequences, tests, and activities from the University of Oran 2. And Saida Boras, teacher trainer from the University of Oran 2, as well as Dr. Vadia Bougibs, activities designer from UNS Asia Jabbar Constantine. Now, do you face comprehension difficulties when listening to native speakers? How often have you heard someone telling you, "I hear you," but in fact you're certain that they have not understood what you intended to say? Do you know why? That's because hearing is not listening. There is a huge difference between hearing and listening. Listening is a mental process that requires concentrating on sounds and chunks of speech, getting meaning from them, and then responding to them. Hearing is a physical act permitting you to perceive the sounds only. Do you have plans and objectives to realize in your life, but always wondered how to do it? Effective listening seems to be one of the keys to success to any field that is important to you. But active listening does not come naturally, and most of us have just never developed the good habits that would make us effective listeners. If you fail to understand the content that is being expressed by your interlocutors, you will also fail in providing a substantial and meaningful reply. And erroneous feedback is the root cause of misunderstandings and the source of conflicts at home or at workplace. Effective listening is the central part of communication. So you must develop your ability to listen to other people properly, to have a clear understanding of ideas, thoughts, or feelings that others intend to share with you. The listening course is designed to make you aware about the importance of effective listening and to provide you with the necessary elements that allow you to become an effective listener. This course is not concerned with academic listening only, but it is more directed to active empathetic listening. So what makes this course specific? Well, what distinguishes this course from other courses is that you will be exposed to diversified materials with a more focus on practical matters relevant to the listening skills. There will be an alternation between theory and practice as well. Also, you will be provided with more tips and strategies to make you improve your listening abilities. Lastly, you will be guided through mind maps to consolidate your knowledge about the listening skills. One of the main objectives of this course is to make you move from a good listener to become an active listener to arrive at the end to empathetic listening. So in the beginning, you'll develop your command over the listening skills. You will be aware that listening is a skill that needs to be practiced. It is not a question of theory, but rather a question of tips and strategies to be implemented when listening to other people. Also, you will be aware that the ability to listen is the most crucial skill required to effective communication. Then you move to active listening to learn how to use questioning, reflection, clarification, probing, and mirroring to actively listen and communicate with others. In order to follow this course, you should have already developed a number of prerequisites. You should be able to accurately listen to short listening passages, to identify the gist of main ideas in long and short listening passages, to recognize specific details, and to understand body language and the shades of meaning they convey. You should also be able to identify stress, rhythm, and intonation patterns of spoken English, and to transpose reading prior knowledge to listening. So by the end of the listening course, you'll be able to understand the listening process, identify the different types and styles of listening, determine the listener preference profile and the listening style, where you identify what kind of listener you are, accommodate to the appropriate types when listening to different materials, and learn how to approach authentic listening materials, how to summarize, how to paraphrase, and how to reflect on what you listen to. Not only that, but to also learn about active listening, practice to improve the sense of self, test your ability to actively listen, practice to increase communication skills, and to reach effective and better listening. As far as the course structure is concerned, we have Getting Started and the Placement Test. In week 1, we have the Essentials of the Listening Skills 1, and in week 2, we have the Essentials of the Listening Skills 2. We start with Getting Started and the Placement Test. So in Unit 1, we have 2 sequences. Sequence 1.1, the listening skills. Sequence 1.2, intensive and extensive listening. And lastly, sequence 1.3, tips to practice the listening skills. In the second sequence, 2.1, we have types of listening. And in 2.2, we have other types of listening. And in 2.3, we have the styles of listening. Moving on to the second week, which is the essentials of the listening skills 2, we have 2 sequences in the second unit. Sequence 3.1, issues on receptive skills. Sequence 2.3, top-down listening strategies. Sequence 3.3, bottom-up listening strategies. And sequence 3.4, you will practice bottom-up listening strategies. Sequence 4.1, listening activities. Sequence 4.2, practice top-down listening through pre and while listening activities. And lastly, sequence 4.3, which has to do with the main factors in listening comprehension. Before we finish, let me give you some of the most fascinating books on listening. We have the book I Hear You by Michael Sorensen and The Lost Art of Listening by Michael Nichols, and 4 Essential Keys to Effective Communication by Binto Leal III. You also have The Art of Active Listening by Richard Banks and The Art of Active Listening by Heather Younger. We arrive at the end. Thank you for your attention.